In Iran, 103 people have been killed and 188 injured in two terrorist blasts near the burial site of the General Soleimani in the city of Kerman during a ceremony marking his fourth martyrdom anniversary. In Palestine, dozens of civilians, including children and women, were killed and injured early Wednesday morning as Israeli occupation forces continue shelling several areas of the Gaza Strip, especially in the central and southern region. In the United Kingdom, residents' doctors began a 6-day strike to demand full restoration of salaries. Welcome to From the South. I am Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Iran, 103 people have been killed and 188 injured in two terrorist blasts near the burial site of General Soleimani in the city of Kerman during a ceremony marking his fourth martyrdom anniversary. Medical services said the death toll is expected to rise as ambulances were taken to the wounded to the hospitals, as the deputy head of Iran's emergency organization, Babak Yekta Parast, said that some of the injured are in critical condition. According to IRNA news agency, the first explosion occurred some 700 meters from the grave of General Soleimani at 2:50 p.m. local time, and the second one occurred about 1 kilometer away around 10 minutes later. Until now, there has been no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, the Iranian Cabinet of Ministers has announced a day of national mourning on Tuesday. Amid aggressions, Iranian citizens pay tribute to martyred Commander Qasem Soleimani, killed by U.S. forces 4 years ago in Iraq. Tens of thousands of people dressed in mourning clothes marched on Wednesday to Kerman Cemetery to pay tribute to former Commander Qasem Soleimani, killed in a U.S. drone strike at Baghdad International Airport in Iraq. Among the crowd, young people hold pictures of General Soleimani and reaffirmed the country's commitment to avenge the assassination of their commander. In parallel, the countries of Iraq and Lebanon hold memorial ceremonies to confirm their loyalty to Soleimani's ideals and expressing gratitude for his service in the army. In this context, from Lebanon, the Secretary General of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, delivered a speech in the framework of the commemoration of the assassination of the Iranian anti-terrorist commander Qasem Soleimani. The Hezbollah leader took the opportunity to greet all Muslims while regretting the death of several fighters facing the Israeli occupation, among whom he placed the assassination of the deputy head of the political bureau of Hamas, Saleh al-Arauri, at the hands of the Tel Aviv army. In this context, Nasrallah also saluted the struggle of the Palestinian people to achieve freedom from the Israeli occupation. Furthermore, the Hezbollah leader highlighted the efforts of the assassin Iranian commander Soleimani so that resistance movements could count on their own capacities. Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah delivered a speech on Wednesday in which he congratulated the resistant fighters who are confronting the Israeli army.
Las madres de los mártires.
The mothers of the martyrs, the fathers, the wives, the sons, the daughters, and the families of these martyrs, the one, the two, those symbols of patience, the displaced from the border towns, and the real men, the resistance fighters who are on the front line. I'm addressing them to tell them clearly, contrary to what the Israeli enemy says, what they are fighting on the borderline. To all these men, I express my appreciation, my respect, my regard, my pride for all that they are doing, for their steadfastness and their sacrifice. I'm addressing them to tell them that rest assured that their blood, their sacrifice, and their patience were not in vain, and will have huge, great, blessed, and positive results that will positively affect Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Iran, and the whole region.
In this context, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah also recalled the influence of Commander Qasem Soleimani even after his assassination at the hands of the U.S.
Lo que estamos viendo hoy
What we are seeing today in Gaza and in all the resistance camps is present with us, and we remember Commander Qasem Soleimani, his image, his name, his spirit, his path, his legacy, his dignity, his strong presence. The martyrs who fell today in Kerman makes me remember a word of Imam Khamenei, that it seems that the martyr Qasem Soleimani stunts the forces of Zionist arrogance more than Qasem Soleimani when he is alive. Today, Qasem Soleimani, the martyr, we are seeing him. That's why they are persecuting people and even visitors of Qasem Soleimani.
The assassination of Hamas leader Saleh al-Arauri has rocked the besieged Palestinian enclave as people took the streets and the Palestinian resistance movements halted all negotiation talks. teleSUR correspondent Noor Harasan with all the details from Gaza.
The assassination of Salah al-Aruri is intensifying things here in Gaza, also in the West Bank, as many cities in the West Bank have declared a general strike, especially in the Palestinian city of Arura, located in Nablus, where actually Salah was born. Same thing here in Gaza. I mean, Palestinians went out to the streets, they were angry, and a reaction from Hamas just after the assassination of Salah al-Aruri. Ismail Haniya, who is the chairman of the Hamas political bureau and who is residing now in Qatar, said in a televised statement that they are shocked about this assassination. He said that they are asking Palestinians to be steadfast and patient, and that will Hamas continue resisting in the name of the Palestinian people. And this actually adds to the fact that Hamas asked the negotiators, the Qatari and also the Egyptian mediators, to stop and halt all negotiations between them and Israel. There is no truce anymore. There is no ceasefire anymore. We're not talking about this after the assassination about Salah al-Aruri. This was a clear position actually to come from Hamas. Palestinians are now waiting to see what will happen in the next few hours. If the things will actually escalate in Lebanon, will escalate between Hezbollah and Israel. Noor Harazin, teleSUR, Gaza.
In Palestine, some civilians, including children and women, were killed and injured early Wednesday morning as Israeli occupation forces continued shelling several areas of the Gaza Strip, especially in the central and southern region. The Israeli destruction machine continues to wage its aggression and war against the Gaza Strip for the 89th consecutive day. The death toll in the Gaza Strip since the beginning of the aggression until Tuesday's evening amounted to more than 22,000, most of them women and children, while the number of wounded exceeded 57,000 and thousands are still missing. On Wednesday, Israeli air forces destroyed civilian infrastructures in the Al-Nusayrat camp. Recently, the bodies of 4 civilian women were recovered in Khan Yunis after Red Crescent teams were able to enter Hamad town. The occupation air forces launched a series of violent attacks on Nusayrat, Burej, and Maghazi camps in the central Gaza Strip, as well as on the Al-Manara, Kaisan, Al-Nahjar, and Man neighborhoods in Khan Yunis city. On Wednesday, the Palestinian Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas, announced that it had frozen all talks on exchange of hostages, hostage takers, and a possible ceasefire following the assassination of Saleh al-Arauri. Shortly before the crime committed by the Zionist government of Israel, the leader of the resistance, Ismail Haniyeh, subscribed to proposals from Egypt and Qatar on the ceasefire. In the meantime, both Cairo and Doha have been informed of the suspension of any agreement or dialogue. It should be noted that neither the Washington government nor Tel Aviv have referred to the assassination of one of the key figures of the resistance, along with 6 other commanders. On the other hand, it was learned that on Wednesday, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah will deliver a speech. Israeli occupation forces have been carrying out an aggression against Tulkarm city and its two camps, Tulkarm and Nur Shams, for more than 10 hours, during which they detained a number of citizens accompanied by police dogs. The occupation army stormed dozens of houses in the neighborhoods of Nur Shams camp, causing havoc and destroying properties and infrastructures, detaining their owners and beating them. The Red Crescent report that its teams treated 3 wounded as a result of a beating in Nur Shams camp, one of whom was a 65-year-old man. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. All the stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome. In Panama, popular forces gathered around the National Assembly and rejected the annual report on parliamentary management account presented by President Laurentino Cortizo to the parliament, assuring that the Panamanian executive has not been respectful of the democratic processes. They qualified the summary of the administration as a fallacy. Representatives of social unions and indigenous movements gathered in the surroundings of the assembly. They took their rejection of the management of both the executive and legislative powers to put the test in the mobilizations in rejection of the mining contract. Saúl Méndez, executive secretary of the construction workers, denounced the government's complicity with those who plundered the nation.
Cortizo lies when he says that there is a counterweight of the state. No counterweight of the state would have approved a law like that one, approved by the Assembly. What is there are corrupt, colluded and corrupted to sell the nation, both in the Assembly and the Executive and also in the Judiciary. Let us not fool ourselves. The ruling issued by the court is the pressure of the streets, in each of the provinces of this country, in each of the counties, in the waters of the Sea of Colón, where he resisted to force the court to rule.
In response to the president's intervention, the Secretary General of the Construction Union accused him of being an accomplice of the Canadian mining company and of cooperating to violate the Constitution.
First Quantum has control, I reiterate, of the mine, in complicity with Laurentino Cortizo and the commission traders that he appointed. Commission traders of those who had already negotiated the same contract that violated the Constitution 25 times in its article, and several international conventions.
President Gustavo Petro extended on Tuesday the ban on carrying firearms and the suspension of the permits within the national territory during 2024. This extension, which has been in effect since 2018, was carried out by the current ruler with the objective of protecting the lives of Colombians and under the principles of the National Development Plan 2022-2026 of the Petro administration. The carrying of weapons has been an issue mentioned on several occasions by Petro, who has even raised the need for national disarmament and the elimination of the existing special permits to carry weapons. His policy against weapons aims to reduce the number of murders and crimes in the country. In Argentina, there is a continuous increase in fuel prices, which, according to the Chamber of Entrepreneurs, represented 260% in 2023. The first increase in gasoline in 2024 was 27%, and in the one-month period between December and the first days of January, it has already represents an almost 90% increase. Experts assure that this is due to the decision of the Secretary of Energy to increase biodiesel and bioethanol by more than 34%. Although it was expected that the oil companies would assume part of the increase, they transferred it to the final total cost. The Chamber of Fuel businessmen informed that in 2023, gasoline and diesel reflected monthly increases except in September, when there were no changes. In Mexico, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs informed that operations will resume at 4 border crossing blocked with the United States. The United States Customs and Border Protection Office, in contact with the Mexican Foreign Ministry, detailed that as of January 4, several border entry points will reopen. Among them, the towns of Eagle Pass, Texas, San Isidro, California, Longview, and Nogales in Arizona. The Mexican Foreign Ministry was in permanent contact with neighboring authorities at the federal, state, and local levels to obtain timely information on the matter and to reestablish commercial operations at this crossing as soon as possible. Mexico celebrated this decision as a result of the meeting held between President Andrés Manuel López Obrador on December 27 with a delegation of high-level officials from the neighboring country regarding the immigration situation. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has appealed the decision of the Maine State Tribunal, excluding him from the state primary for this year's presidential election. The former president's legal team has alleged that Chenna Belows, the state's top election official and secretary, is lying and claims she does not have the legal authority to make the decision. The far-right candidate claims he has not been given adequate time or opportunity to present a defense. The lawyers who filed the appeal in Kennebec Superior Court claim Belows is not biased and the exclusion is unlawful. The official justified her decision on the grounds that Trump's role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which prohibits those engaged in insurrection from holding public office. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news, coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. On Wednesday, in the United Kingdom, a 6-day resident doctor strike began to demand a full restoration of salaries. Doctors seek 35% pay rise to reverse pay cuts that have fallen 26% since 2008 and 2009. During the mobilizations, the British Medical Association rejected the government's previous pay proposals as insufficient. The National Health Service warned that multiple demonstrations by residents are leading to the suspension of thousands of medical appointments, including those of patients with serious illness. The union noted that wages, particularly in the public sector, have fallen in real terms over the past decade, and double-digit inflation in late 2022 and early 2023, stoked by rising food and energy prices, left many workers struggling with the bills.
I'm prepared to keep striking until we get presented with a credible offer to restore our pay back, because I think we need to retain our doctors. You know, I don't think we can afford not to pay our doctors, so I will continue to strike for the pay for me and my colleagues.
Pay the people. Just pay them properly and ensure that they have also access to good mental health care and sleep and rest, and so that there's adequate staffing, because it's really appalling.
A lot of students are already looking at leaving the country, some of them to go into alternative careers, and this is again before we've even graduated. And I think with the cost of living crisis, how bad our student bursaries are, it's going to take us years to pay back our student loans. I think the most important thing is the fact that retention is not going to happen if we don't pay our doctors properly.
On Wednesday, the French Flood Risk Information Service declared dozens of rivers in the northern half of the France on orange alert. The French authorities on Tuesday had placed the region of Pas-de-la-Calais on red alert. A coastal river that flows into the North Sea has been affected by exceptional flooding. According to the prefecture of the Pas de Calais, more than 50 municipalities in the department have been impacted and 198 people have had to be evacuated. In this sense, at least 2,000 people are without drinking water. In the turn, local media added that in Pas de Calais and the neighboring department of Nord, more than 10,000 households were without electricity. The residents of Blendec, a locality in northern France, emphasize they are affected both by the ecological crisis and by the local government, which makes locals more vulnerable in facing these kind of events.
It is happening again. We're flooded, but we can't see anyone, nor even the town hall. There is nothing there. We're fed up because this is the second time, and what will happen to the house? Our work doesn't start until April, but what will happen then? What if we do the work and it starts all over again? There is no end in sight. It is going to get worse. We've had enough. Maybe it's time to do something for everyone, not just for me, but for the whole of Blendecus.
Temperatures in the Finnish capital hit 15 degrees below zero on Wednesday as the Scandinavian country recorded its coldest winter so far in this season. The sub-zero temperatures follow a warmer than normal fall across much of Europe, which came against the backdrop of 2023 being recorded as the warmest year on record. This is widely believed to be linked to global warming and the ecological crisis, with carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere now at their highest for at least 2 million years. In Finland, authorities warn that temperatures will continue to drop throughout the week, while local police urge drivers to avoid unnecessary journeys as wind and snow can make travel dangerous. However, even with temperatures freezing, the city Helsinki residents are not deterred by the cold.
It's all about the clothing, and I'm really loving it. It's a mindset thing, I guess.
Yeah, just a lot of clothes and the attitude. Like, it's gonna be cold, but it's beautiful, and yeah, we think it's beautiful.
You have to embrace it.
Yes.
Well, this happens every couple of years. You just dress enough. Like, layers is the key, I'd say. It's annoying when you get out, like, when you're leaving, it takes a bunch of time to get out just because of the clothing, but it's all right.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.